Patrick Cook here. So welcome to session number 9 of our Fun with Mandelbulb Mutations, Tutorial Series number 4. Now, all right, in the previous session, I was talking about this exchange, add, and remove formulas, and that was demonstrated. So we'll move ahead now to the change formulas, params of formulas option. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this formula construct that the MutaGen just created. I'm going to leave it up here so that we have two formulas that will give us some indication as to what actually changed. I'm going to disable the exchange, add, and remove formulas because I just want to focus on this change params of formulas. So now here, let's pull this down. Let's pull this mutation down to here and make it the base mutation. Now there's two ways I can do that. All right. I can double click on here on this mutation, which will send it down to and make it our base mutation. And then when we mutate, the mutations are going to emanate from our base formula construct. So that's one way. The other way is to pull it in from the main editor. All right. Now let me demonstrate this for you. All right. I'm going to double click. Here we go. Double click. And what I did is I sent that mutation down to make it my base. Okay? All right, double click. Now, let's back up a little bit here. All right, I just went to a previous generation. I'm going to explain what this is, but I went to a previous generation. Now, there we go. We're back to where we started. All right, because I want to show you the second method. If I come up, let's leave this MutaGen running. Keep an eye on this tile right here. I'm going to get back up to my main window. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the MutaGen button right here. When I click on that, if the MutaGen window is not open, it will open the MutaGen window. If the MutaGen window is already opened, it will send the parameters from the main editor down to our base tile or our base mutation. So watch right here. All right, I'm going to click on MutaGen right now. Now what this did is it sent the main editor's formula construct into the MutaGen. All right, there's two ways to get the base tile loaded, and that is I can double click on a mutation, any mutation, double click on it, that will send it to the base, or come up from the main editor and click on the MutaGen button. If the window is open, it will load the main editor's formula construct into the MutaGen. If the MutaGen window is not open, then it will open the window and send the formula construct into the base. Okay. All right. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about what happens here when we use this option. All right, now keep in mind up here, I got two formulas. I got T-Glad Dihead 2, and I've got this Fartin. Now, I'm going to run this with this option disabled. I'm going to mutate. And as I expected, there were no mutation values applied to any of the children along any of the generation paths. All right, that's what I expected. Now, let's do this. Let's take this and crank it all the way up. Now I'm going to mutate. All right, so I'm beginning to see some differences here. You see, that's different, that's different. Now I'm gonna send this one right here up to the editor. And then we're going to take a look at our changes. Now keep an eye on the formula number 2. Okay, keep an eye on that one. I'm going to click this and I'm going to send it to editor now. You notice here how the properties changed. The formula name did not, but the property values changed. I calculate it, and as we expect, this mutation has gone up to the main editor, and the formula construct has been modified for this mutation. All right? All right, so this option will change only the properties of the formulas that are assigned. We weren't watching, but this formula 1 was subject to the parameter values being changed, just like formula number 2. You don't have any option to say, look, just change formula 1 or just change formula 2. You don't have any of those options. This will, the program, the MutaGen, will decide if it is going to change the properties of one formula or 2 formulas or all of the formulas. We don't have any control of that. All right? So far, we've talked about the adding, exchanging, removing formulas, and we've talked about the changing of the parameter or the property values of the formulas. All right, and we've demonstrated that, and I think we've got that pretty clear now. Now, the Julia mode, all right, that is not going to really apply for the formula constructs that basically a Julia mode would not do anything anyway. So in not every formula construct will benefit by the Julia mode option, okay? But if it does apply to the formula or the formula construct, which could be multiple formula slots, then this option will modify these properties in the Julia mode. All right. It's going to be a little hard to demonstrate that. I would have to go find a formula set where the Julia is turned on. We're a little shy here on the time of our session. It might be worth a try. Oh, I'll tell you what. All right, let's try it. All right, let me use the navigator. I'm going to pull the properties in. Okay. Let's see. Let's open this up and let's see whether or not. Oh, okay, good. Here we go. All right, so now I'm modifying the Julia. Yeah. Okay, here we go. How's that? That looks interesting. Now I'm going to push that back to main. I don't need this anymore. Let's calculate it so we can see it. So here we go. So I have a Julia, Julia properties that's been applied to this integer power. Now, let's do this. Let's pull this in. All right. Let's go to open up the MutaGen button right here, that pulled in, and I'm going to set this Julia mode all the way out. Now keep an eye on right here. Now, this is with all the other options are turned off, disabled, and with the Julia mode turned on all the way. Now let's mutate and see what happens. Okay, good, good, good. Very good. I do see some changes here. Let's pick, let's pick this one. Okay, no, let's pick this one here. All right, now watch these Julia mode properties right here. I'm going to come over to this mutant. I'm going to right click and I'm going to send that to the main editor. And when I do, you'll see these values change. Here we go. Now, okay. So, and that sent that particular mutation up to my main editor. So you saw those change. All right. So that's what the Julia mode does. It will modify the properties if the Julia mode is turned on. Obviously, it will modify the properties of the Julia mode. In my experience, if the Julia mode is not enabled, then it will have no impact. This option will have no impact on the formula construct. The Julia mode needs to be enabled. Okay? All right. All right, that was interesting. Let's end this session here. Pick it up in the next session. We're going to talk about this iteration count. I'll see you in the next session.